Hello! This is my first booktube video. I wanted to do booktube for a really long time, and so for my first booktube video I wanted to talk about some books that I am currently reading, and there are only two that I read a few days ago that I have here. It's a bit scary for me to do this for the first time. So first book I'm gonna talk about is a second in a series. It's Nevernight. I believe the series called by J. Christoph, and it is God's Grave. So I read this book 3 days ago, I believe. I don't have a third installment yet in my hands. I need to buy it, definitely. But the thing about J. Christoph's writing for me is that it's pretentious, and it is very annoying sometimes, a bit, not a lot, a bit, but I still like the story, I still like the characters. So the reason why I picked this series up in the first place was because I saw Cindy's video. She was talking about how awful the first book was and making fun of it. I thought, you know what, that sounds like a blast, that book sounds so good. So I picked it up 3 years after, like a few months ago, and I read it, and then I liked it. And yeah, I agree, there are some really cringe parts in the book, but I enjoyed it. I didn't found it quite that debilitating for me, not want to read it any further. First book was more young adult book, for me at least. It felt more YA than the second one, because in the first book you're following her into this like school, assassin school, and it's really fun to read about, but it is YA to me. But the second book was a lot more adult, although she's 17 and she's not acting 17, but I kind of, in my head, I don't think of her as 17, so I just like, you know, sure, she's 17, like I don't really care about that. I liked the second book more, and I hope the third book will be even better, because the second book ended up in a little cliffhanger. I just want to read it further. So if you want to pick it up, I would recommend it. If you can go get through his writing, his gentle readers, my gentle friends, and those kind of things. And also the thing I don't like about it is footnotes, you know, like a little star next to something in text, and then it would, on some pages, the footnote was a lot bigger than the text, than the story itself, which I wouldn't mind if the book was more historically, but it's a really fast-paced book. The thing is, I don't like to have to stop in the middle of reading this action-packed fight and then to read like a footnote of 2 pages. I don't like that. But if you can get through that, I would recommend it. I think it's a good series. I think it's a good series. So yeah. Okay, that's the first one. The second book I read is an S.T. Gibson, Education in Malice. Yeah. So I read S.T. Gibson's Diary of Blood. I believe it was last year, and I loved it. It's one of my favorite books. Her books aren't that long, and Diary of Blood was even shorter than Education in Malice, but it's not long, but there was a lot of talk about how it is to feel being in a relationship with an abuser that you do not find quite abusing, someone who's really charming in a way, but is also a whole person, let's say. So I enjoyed that book. I read it in a day. I loved the way the pacing was great for me. Although it was shorter, I didn't feel as if it was lacking anything. And I didn't feel like I was missing anything, actually, because it was such a good pacing, and it was such a good way of telling the story that it wanted to tell. So I really enjoyed that. Education in Malice, this book is a little bit different. I would say it has a bit of abusive relationship, but it is a different kind. When you're using somebody for your own benefit, that's what I wanted to say. The feeling of kind of being used and abused in a relationship. And then you have this different relationship that is pure, but it is strong, and it is, it comes from a different place. One comes from admiring somebody so much that you want to be everything to them, and the second one is coming from, oh, well, I'm in love now. This kind of love is a lot pure because I fell in love with you, not because I'm admiring you so much because I'm obsessed with you, but just because you're the person that I just fell in love with. And these two relationships were constantly in correlation with one another, that they would be interwoven into one another. I enjoyed the book. I found it less remarkable for me. I feel like Dowry of Blood came when I really needed it in my life to read about something like that, and this book was really fun for me. I really enjoyed it, but I was not so mesmerized by it. I wasn't so, oh my god, this is such a good book, I love it so much. I didn't feel that way. I will talk about some other books now that I'm currently reading. It's called Post-Yugoslavian Literature and Film by Gordana Petrankovic. As a Croatian author, I believe. I bought this book like a long time ago. I started reading it yesterday. I read 18 pages of it to this art that's called Man is Not a Bird. It is in English, by the way. It is a Croatian author. I'm Croatian, but it is English book, but it talks about time when Croatia was part of Yugoslavia and literature and film and after that time and in that time, I do not know everything that this book will have to offer, but for now I really like it because it is written in a way that you kind of go through a story, a made up story about for now at least, about a woman who slept for 40 years, and then it says what she did last before she went to sleep and what she remembers and what she missed in years, and it's told something like that, and it's very interesting for now. I really like it. It has some pictures, like for example the pictures from movies, and so this is like a way it has a picture of Surrogate. It's very interesting for now. I'm interested in it quite a lot. I'm actually an architecture major, but I'm really like everything that has to do with films and literature. I enjoy writing and reading, but I would really love to read this book this month, and I hope I will. So the next book I will be talking about is Of Ghosts and Goblins. This is a penguin cloth bound edition. You see it has like hands. I got this book from my best friend for Christmas, and this is my favorite bookmark I have in it. It's so cute. My boyfriend gave it to me. I love it. And there's a little mushroom. I love mushrooms. Anyway, I do not know what this book is. Myths and legends and stories, I think. I'm not sure completely, so I can't say anything about this book, but I feel like I'm gonna like it a lot. I didn't read that many short stories still. For example, Robots vs. Fairies, I think it's called. That one I liked, but then there were some that I didn't like. But this month, I guess this is not the only short story collection book I have on my TBR for this month. So next short story collection that I have, and that is Ghost Stories of Henry James. And this one I already read 2 ghost stories. So I read The Romance of Certain Old Clothes, and I read The Ghostly Rental. I liked The Ghostly Rental more. It was longer, but it was more interesting to me. The first one was kind of bland for me. I didn't really like it, but I like his writing style a lot. So I enjoyed both of them, but the second one more. And the next one that I have is Sir Edmund Orme. I have this book for a really long time. This is one of the oldest books on my TBR physical. By the way, I have about 130 books on my TBR physical right now, and I'm looking at them and they're all over my table, and I am kind of scared because I really want to read them, but I want to buy new books, and every time I buy new books then I have more books on my TBR. So the next book on my TBR is Bitter Twins. This is the second installment of Winning Flame trilogy. It's by Jen Williams. I heard about this book from Elliot Brooks. She talked about it in a lot of her videos, and I really wanted to check it out. But I really liked the first book in the trilogy. I thought it was something different. I didn't expect it to be that, by the way. It was there are like aliens in it. I didn't expect that, but it's really interesting, the whole premise of the world is falling apart and the aliens came, and it's kind of dystopian, but not dystopian as dystopian, like, you know, YA dystopian, because this is an adult book. This is completely not YA in any way. They're the characters are like 100, 400 years old. They're like in their 40s, or like, you know, this is a good book. It reminds me of a bit of Fifth Season by M.K. Jemens, because that kind of, this world is falling apart dystopian thing, and also the way people are going on these journeys, you know, through the world. So yeah, I'm enjoying this book so far. I like it, again, more than the first one. I guess this is a trend for me. For most book series, the first one to me is the weakest. Not always. Last few times I read, the first one was always the weakest for me. It was the least fun, I guess. But I don't know, I'm not even in the middle of this. I'm on page 187, so I still don't know how I will feel about this book, because it's 600-page book, but I feel like I'm going to like it. So the next book I'm going to be talking about is a third in installment, that is Crescent City, House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This series is like watching reality shows, which I heard is what she wanted to do, so claps for that. You know, she did it. She really made it like reality TV. I don't think these books are great. Honestly, the characters are, there's so many scenes where I can't even read them. Bit of a cringe, bit uneasy for me, bit of I don't really want to read that. You know, it's fun. It's fun for me. These books are huge. They're humongous. This one is more than 800 pages long, but I go through them really quick for how long they are. So I don't really care about the writing in them. I don't really care if the writing is the most amazing writing you ever had, or something like that. I don't really care about that. I want to have fun sometimes. I just want to read something and not think about anything else. And these books really do not make me feel strained. They do not make me feel sad or angry. They're just fun for me. They're funny. They're good books for what they want to be. And the last book I'm gonna be talking about today is Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. I heard that this book is not good. I heard it's a bad book. From few booktubers that I've been watching and that I trust. But you know, I bought this book in Edinburgh almost a year ago, because it's pretty. It's really, really pretty. The cover and the inside. Oh my god, the inside drawing. So like, you probably have seen it already, but like, come on, look at that. I mean, I think this book can be the worst book ever, for all I care. I'm gonna read it. It has yellow pages. I love yellow. And I even have, it's signed. It's exclusively signed edition, which I don't have a lot of. This is the only one, because in my country, they do not sell these exclusively signed. We do not have Waterstones and those kind of things. I bought this in Waterstones. So I don't care how bad this book is. I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna keep it because it's so beautiful. But also, I've been through 100 pages, I believe. A little less than 100 pages, 80 pages of this book. And for now, it's okay. It's fun. It's nothing special. I don't get the whole magic system, the whole going into other people's bodies. I don't think that explained. At least not for now. I don't understand how that goes, how that works. But I'm just, I'm gonna suspend my disbelief. I'm gonna just be, it's okay. People can go into other people's bodies, and that's okay. That's how the world works. Yeah. And I am nobody to tell them how to do that. I'm nobody to tell them that that's not how it works. I'm just here to read about it. I don't give a crap about how good or bad this book is. I'm gonna keep it. I tried to read These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong on my ebook. No, that wasn't for me. From the first page, I just knew I didn't care about characters or anything. This story is better than that one, and I know that one is more loved. So maybe for me, this is going to be the thing. Like, These Violent Delights were for a lot of people. Also, I just remember one other thing that I read. I just read 2 days ago is Towards the New Architecture. You know what? Let's just buy him. I don't want to pronounce his name. I know about him. Of course I know. I'm an architecture major, but I'm not going to pronounce his name because I don't want to incorrectly pronounce it. This book, said the mentioned architect, that I will not pronounce his name, is, he's so salty. This book is, by the way, full of really pretty drawings and photos, and as an architecture student, I really liked reading about it, although I don't completely agree with him in every way. Some things I agree with, others I don't. For example, the whole tandem about why do people need to put ugly art on their walls and have things around their houses and not just put them in cupboards and everything. Why can't we just mass produce houses? And I don't agree with that part. He thinks that everybody can afford to live in houses with more rooms. That's not how most people can live, and then he says that we just can just mass produce houses. I think if you if you're interested in architecture at all, if you're an architecture student, I think this is the book that you should read. Not you need to, but you can read. I believe that even if you don't agree with the topics and the ideas and arguments that he has, it's important to have different kinds of ideas in your life and to listen to everybody and to then decide what you as a person believe in. That would be all from me. This is the end of my first booktube video. All the books that I talked about today, I do not think that they are unreadable or not worth reading. So any of them you read. You know what? Read as whatever you want. So yeah, I don't have any outros, so I'm just going to go with I hope I will keep my booktube channel alive, and I'll see you guys